Chosen ones, you might not even realize it yet, but there's something different about you. People can feel it before you even say a word. They stare a little longer, try to figure you out, and whisper behind your back like you're hiding something magical. You've probably heard things like, "You don't look your age," or "There's something about your energy." And deep down, you know they're right. It's not just how you look. It's something deeper, something that can't be bottled or bought. And it's not luck. It's purpose. It's the result of everything you've survived, everything you've healed from, and everything you chose not to become. Most people think time is their enemy. They blame the clock for their tired eyes, their aching backs, their fading spark. But what if I told you time was never your enemy? What if it was your disguise? What if the years were hiding your glow until the moment you were truly ready to step into it? Let that sink in. Because the truth is, your journey has shaped you into something rare. You've been through so much: betrayal, isolation, emotional battles that nearly broke you, and yet you're still here. Not just surviving, but glowing. Not just present, but powerful. You've walked through storms that would have destroyed other people. You've cried in silence, smiled through pain, and rebuilt yourself from the ground up more than once. And every time, you came back stronger. That strength shows up in your face, in your walk, in the way your presence fills a room without needing to speak. People notice, even if they don't understand it. They're used to seeing age show up as exhaustion, bitterness, or regret. But when they look at you, they see something else: clarity, light, peace. And that confuses them, because they're not used to people looking healed. You see, while the world was obsessed with looking young on the outside, you were working on something much deeper. You weren't chasing perfection, you were chasing peace. You weren't trying to look good for others, you were trying to feel whole for yourself. And that inner work changed everything. The healing you did, the emotions you processed, the faith you held on to, it all began to show. Not in flashy ways, but in the way your skin glows even without makeup, in the way your smile feels genuine, in the way you walk with peace instead of panic. That's not surface level beauty. That's soul deep radiance. And let's be honest, this didn't come easy. There were times you felt completely alone. Times you questioned if it was worth it. You had to walk away from people you loved, from jobs that drained you, from environments that couldn't see your worth. You had to let go of old versions of yourself just to survive. And that shedding process? It was painful, but it was necessary. Because every time you let go of what wasn't meant for you, you made space for what was. Every tear you cried watered the seeds of your glow. And now you're blooming, even if the world doesn't know how to handle it. The truth is, your face doesn't just look youthful, it tells a story. It speaks of resilience. It shows that you've done the inner work most people avoid. And that's why you don't carry the same weight as others your age. You're not burdened by unspoken grief, by buried anger, by fake smiles. You processed what hurt. You sat with it. You screamed when no one was listening. You prayed when you had nothing left. And somewhere in all that pain, you found yourself. Not the version the world wanted, but the real you. And let's talk about that energy. Because it's more than your appearance. It's the peace you carry, the calm in your voice, the way people feel better just by being around you. That's not coincidence. That's alignment. That's what happens when you stop living for the world and start living in truth. Most people are exhausted because they're performing all day long, trying to be liked, trying to fit in, trying to stay relevant. But you stopped performing. You unplugged from the noise. You decided to be real, even if that meant being alone for a while. And that choice saved you. Because once you stopped pretending, your energy came back. You stopped leaking your power into situations that didn't deserve you. You stopped chasing people who didn't see you. You stopped watering dead plants. And that shift changed everything. You went from running on empty to overflowing. And that overflow? It shows up in your glow. People can't explain it. They think maybe you changed your diet or started a new skincare routine. But the truth is, you just stopped draining yourself for things that didn't matter. You protected your peace, and your body responded with restoration. That's the wild part. Most people think aging is about biology. But for you, it's been spiritual. You're not aging like them because you're not carrying what they carry. You've released shame. You've let go of anger. You've forgiven people who never apologized. And in doing so, you've lightened your soul. That lightness isn't just emotional, it's physical. It's visible. It radiates from you. And that's what throws people off. They expect someone your age to be heavy, but you're light. They expect stress, but you show up with peace. They expect wear and tear, but you walk in wholeness. And let's not forget, society told you your glow would fade, that after a certain age, you'd become invisible, that your value would decrease, that your relevance would expire. But here you are, breaking every rule. You're not fading, you're rising. You're not shrinking, you're expanding. Every year, you become more magnetic, more powerful, more yourself. While others fear getting older, you're stepping into it like royalty. Because you know the truth. Real beauty isn't in age. It's in alignment. And you've aligned with something eternal. Time isn't working against you. It's working with you. Every lesson you've learned, every scar you've healed, every boundary you've set, it's all been building toward this version of you. The one who doesn't beg for attention because your presence speaks for itself. The one who doesn't chase validation because you've already validated yourself. The one who doesn't just survive life, you're shaping it. People look at you and feel confused because they're watching someone who broke the rules. Someone who didn't peak in their 20s, didn't disappear in their 30s, didn't fade in their 40s. You're still rising, still evolving, still blooming, and you're just getting started. While others are burning out, you're heating up. You're proving that it's not about age, it's about energy. And your energy is timeless. You're not the same person you used to be. And thank God for that. You've been refined, purified, stripped of what was fake, and filled with what is real. You've cried the kind of tears that shift your soul. You've fought battles no one saw. And you've come out on the other side with grace in your voice and power in your bones. So yes, people are going to stare. They're going to talk. They're going to wonder how you did it, how you're still glowing after everything you've been through. And they won't always believe the answer, because it's not a product, not a trend, not a shortcut. It's healing. It's alignment. It's divine timing. It's peace earned through pain. And that kind of beauty, it doesn't wrinkle. It doesn't fade. It doesn't expire. It evolves. You are proof that when you stop performing and start aligning, when you stop chasing and start healing, when you stop conforming and start listening to your soul, everything changes. You didn't escape aging. You transformed it. You didn't avoid pain. You alchemized it. You didn't cheat time. You partnered with it. And now, your life is a testimony. As you grew older, something unexpected happened. You didn't get weaker or dimmer. You became stronger. Not in the loud, aggressive way people often imagine strength. You became powerful in a quiet, undeniable way. And it wasn't because you tried harder or pushed yourself more. No, you became dangerous in the best way possible because you stopped trying so hard. You let go of the need to prove yourself to others. You stopped chasing approval or molding yourself to fit spaces where you never truly belonged. And with that, you found something rare: inner peace. That kind of peace changed everything. Your body carried itself differently. You spoke with more honesty and less fear. You didn't need to be loud to be heard. Your presence alone started speaking for you. It was as if your spirit had grown so full and strong that people could feel it before you even said a word. You had finally grown into yourself, not the version of you others expected, but the version you were always meant to be. You stopped apologizing for existing. You stopped playing small to make others feel comfortable. And instead of breaking down over time, you broke through. Every year added layers to your strength and clarity. People used to think your best days were behind you, that youth was your golden era. But what they didn't see coming was this new version of you, wiser, calmer, radiant in a way that has nothing to do with age and everything to do with becoming whole. Your youth was never your final form. It was only the starting point. A rough sketch of the masterpiece you were going to become. You weren't meant to fade away. You were always meant to unfold, to bloom, to rise into something richer with time. And now they're watching what they thought was your decline, only to realize it's the beginning of your greatest chapter. People see you glowing and grounded, walking with confidence that doesn't beg for attention, it simply exists. They wonder where it came from. They assume it's skincare routines or compliments. But no, your glow didn't come from anything external. It came from surviving, from healing, from knowing your value even when no one was around to remind you of it. They don't get how someone who's been through so much pain, so much loss, can still shine so bright. But here's the truth: you didn't just grow older. You elevated. You transcended. You discovered parts of yourself that youth could never touch. The kind of beauty and strength that only appears after the fire, after you've lost things you thought you couldn't live without, and still managed to breathe. You weren't just supposed to age. You were meant to evolve. And that's exactly what happened. Instead of holding on to the past, trying to freeze yourself in time, you rebuilt. You didn't preserve yourself like an old photograph. You reinvented. You reversed the damage not with magic, but with courage. While most people are trying to slow time down, you let it shape you into something new. And that's what's so surprising to those watching you now. They expected you to come out of life's storms looking tired and worn out. But instead, you came back upgraded. Sharper, stronger, softer in the right places, and firmer in others. They don't know that it wasn't the gym or good genes that did this. It was the quiet, the solitude, the seasons where no one called, where you wondered if life forgot about you. While others filled their days with distractions, you sat in the silence. And that silence didn't break you, it built you. It reconnected you to something higher. It reminded you who you are beyond roles and expectations. You healed in the dark. You aligned your life from the inside out. You shed every false identity you were told to carry. And that inner work didn't just make you emotionally strong, it changed your body too. It shifted something deep in your cells. You didn't just heal mentally. You started to regenerate physically. You stopped breaking down and started building back up from the inside. That's why you look different now. Not like someone pretending to be young, but someone who's found peace. You look untouched by the chaos you've survived. Not because it didn't affect you, but because you made peace with it. That's real transformation. You didn't just return to yourself. You became someone entirely new. And while others allowed pain to harden them, to make them bitter and cold, you refused. Bitterness is sneaky. It creeps in through disappointments and heartbreaks. It stiffens people's faces, dulls their eyes, and makes their voices heavy. Most people carry it without realizing. But not you. You chose to protect your soul at all costs. Not because you wanted to be the bigger person, but because you wanted to stay free. You knew holding on to anger would cost you more than anything someone did to you. So you forgave, not because they deserved it, but because you deserved peace. You let go, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. And that choice purifying your spirit. And your spirit, when clean, shows up on your skin. That's why you don't just look young. You look like. You walk without dragging the past behind you. You look like someone who's made peace with life. And that peace is magnetic. People don't expect forgiveness to shine like that. But in you, they see it. They feel it, even if they can't explain it. Another reason you shine now is because you stopped letting energy parasites feed off of you. You used to feel tired for no clear reason, not just sleepy, drained. That's because you were surrounded by people who didn't come to love you. They came to take from you. They fed on your kindness, your support, your attention. And you gave and gave, not because you were weak, but because you have a big heart. But one day, you realized enough was enough. You cut the cords. And your body knew it before your mind did. You started sleeping better. Your skin changed. Your glow came back. Because those draining people weren't just exhausting you emotionally. They were wearing down your body, your nervous system, your soul. Once you stopped carrying their chaos, your whole being relaxed. You could finally breathe. You started to feel like yourself again. Not the version of you who was always rescuing others, but the one who was finally rescuing yourself. That's why you look so different now. It's not about makeup or miracle products. It's about no longer leaking your life force. Your energy belongs to you again. And it shows. The same people who once took from you are now shocked by how radiant and whole you seem. They wonder what changed. The truth? You stopped being available for disrespect. You closed the buffet. And at the center of it all, you did something many people never do. You reclaimed your true self. You stopped living in roles that weren't yours. You stopped pretending. You were done being the peacemaker, the overachiever, the fixer, the one who stayed silent to keep others comfortable. You realized those roles were slowly breaking you, not because you weren't good at them, but because they weren't who you truly are. Pretending is exhausting. Your body always knows when you're living a lie. It holds the tension. It carries the weight. And even if you look okay on the outside, something feels off on the inside. But once you remembered who you are, everything clicked. You didn't just change mentally. Your body followed. Your spirit came home. Now, when people look at you, they don't just see someone who's aged well. They see someone who's come alive. Someone who's walked through fire and didn't come out burned, but refined. You don't just look good. You look like you've been touched by something holy. And you have your own truth. That's what real beauty is. Not perfection, not youth, but authenticity, peace, power that doesn't have to prove itself. And that's what you are now, not a product of time, but a masterpiece in motion. You got tired. Tired of always bending to fit in. Tired of smiling when it hurt. Tired of making yourself smaller, softer, easier for others to handle. For so long, you tried to be what people expected, safe, polite, agreeable. But over time, something inside you started to shift. Slowly, you began peeling off all those layers you had piled on just to survive. You looked at the roles you were given and started asking real questions. Is this really me? Do I even want this? And when the answer was no, you let it go. You took your voice back. You stopped holding back your feelings. You owned your body, your sensuality, your story, and your roots. You stopped hiding the parts of yourself you were told to tone down or erase. And as you let go of who you were pretending to be, something amazing happened. You started to see the real you. Your body felt the difference too. Your back straightened, your steps became stronger, your smile came from a real place. You looked like someone who had come back to life. There was a glow to you, a light that only comes when someone fully accepts who they are. That change didn't happen because of makeup or skincare or clothes. It came from truth. You stopped carrying pain that was never yours to hold. You stopped shrinking yourself to fit into boxes. You stopped walking around with shame that didn't belong to you. And what was left? A lighter, freer version of you. Not a new version, just the real one. And the glow people keep noticing? That's not a beauty trick. That's what truth looks like when it shows up in a person. You walk through some serious pain. Some of the people around you know what you've been through. They remember the dark days, the heartbreaks, the betrayal. They know the battles you fought, the nights you cried in silence. And yet, when they look at you now, they don't see a trace of that. No bitterness, no resentment, no scars on the surface, just strength and grace. They don't get how you did it, how you came out of the fire looking untouched, even better than before. But the truth is, you didn't just survive the fire. You used it. It didn't burn you down. It burned away the lies, the weight, the norms. What's left is your purest form, stronger, softer, realer. You weren't lucky. You were protected. You were guided. Every challenge was shaping you. Every heartbreak was clearing space. And instead of coming out of the pain bitter or hardened, you came out clearer and more powerful. You didn't let the pain stick to you. You let it teach you, then let it go. While others carry the weight of what happened to them, you carry only what helped you grow. That's why people can't quite figure you out. You don't look like what you've been through. You don't act like someone who's been hurt. You carry peace instead of pain. You radiate instead of resist. The fire didn't destroy you, it revealed you. There was also a time when you felt hidden, like no one saw you, like you were invisible. While the world was out chasing attention, you were off in your own quiet corner. It didn't feel fair at the time. You wondered if you were being overlooked or forgotten. But looking back, you can see it now for what it really was: protection. While others were being pushed into the spotlight before they were ready, you were given space. A safe place to grow without the pressure to perform. That quiet season wasn't punishment, it was preparation. You were becoming stronger, deeper, more whole. The world couldn't see it, but you were transforming. Not in the loud, obvious way, but in the way a tree grows its roots underground before anyone sees the branches stretch. You didn't need to rush. You didn't need to prove anything. You were becoming grounded. And when you finally came back into the light, people were stunned. You didn't just look different, you were different. You weren't worn out or broken down. You looked fresh, solid, glowing with something real. And that glow wasn't just about looking good, it was about being good on the inside. All those years of being set apart gave you time to grow without getting tainted by the noise. While others were being shaped by fame, by pressure, by unhealthy relationships, you were being shaped by peace, by truth, by stillness. And now that you've emerged, people don't know how to handle it. They can't figure out why you seem so calm, so grounded, so vibrant. But you know, you weren't rushing your journey. You were living it. And the strength you carry now is proof. While all of this was happening, something else became clear. You didn't follow the rules the world tried to hand you. You didn't chase youth or beauty the way everyone else did. You didn't try to win approval by showing off or being everywhere at once. While the world got louder, you got quieter. While others were chasing status, you were chasing peace. You didn't follow the trends. You followed your soul. You pulled your energy away from the things that drained you. You stopped showing up to places that made you feel small. You invested in real connections, in healing, in things that made you feel full instead of empty. And that choice made all the difference. Because while others were burning out, trying to keep up, you were getting stronger. While they were aging under the pressure of trying to be perfect, you were aging with ease. You weren't trying to hold on to youth. You were letting go of anything that didn't serve your spirit. And that's why you look timeless. That's why you feel ageless. You didn't try to be young. You tried to be you, and it shows. The way you've aged isn't about the number on your ID. It's about your energy, your peace, your depth. You didn't just get older. You got wiser. You didn't cling to the past. You grew from it. Every year brought more clarity, more truth, more you. That's what people feel when they're around you. That calm, that wisdom, that quiet power. It comes from living with intention, not fear. You didn't age to survive. You aged to become. And maybe the most important part of your story is this. For a long time, you weren't even allowed to live your life the way you should have. You had to be strong too early. You had to take care of others before you could even understand what you needed. You were surviving when you should have been playing. You were protecting yourself when you should have been exploring. Life asked a lot from you before you even had the tools to handle it. You didn't get to live like everyone else. While others your age were exploring life with curiosity and ease, you were already learning how to survive. You were figuring out how to protect yourself, how to keep moving forward, and how to be strong when everything felt like it was falling apart. You didn't have the luxury of being carefree. Instead, you carried burdens, your own and sometimes other people's too. You weren't floating through life. You were fighting your way through it. And because of that, life didn't turn out the way you imagined it would. It wasn't full of spontaneous adventures and joyful detours. It felt more like running a marathon with heavy weights tied to your legs. Everything took more effort, more strength, more focus. You didn't have time to stop and breathe. You were busy just trying to keep everything from falling apart. Maybe you didn't even realize how much you were carrying until now. But something powerful is happening now. There's a shift. Slowly, without you even noticing it at first, God has been returning everything that was stolen from you. The joy you never got to feel, the sense of freedom you missed out on, the moments of lightness and laughter that passed you by, they're coming back to you. And they're showing up in beautiful, unexpected ways. What others may have thought was time lost forever is now making its way back into your life, not as regret, but as radiance. You're not wearing those years like a burden. You're not showing up with lines of pain across your face or heaviness in your soul. Instead, you're glowing. There's something about you that shines brighter now. You're not just older, you're lighter, freer, more peaceful. The weight you used to carry, it's gone. And in its place is a beauty that's deep and unshakable, the kind that comes from surviving and healing, from being refined by fire instead of destroyed by it. You've stepped into something new. You're no longer performing just to survive. You've stopped hiding your truth or shrinking yourself to fit in. You've reclaimed your life. And now that you're living for you, not for approval, not for survival, everything has changed. The years you once saw as a struggle now look different. They're not a mark of how hard life was. They're a testimony to how strong you've become. You don't look like someone who's been through hell. You look like someone who's walked through fire and somehow turned it into light. You look like someone who's bloomed, not in spite of the pain, but because of it. And that bloom? It's unmistakable. It's not something you can fake or force. It's real. It's earned. The glow that people notice when they see you, it's not about makeup or lighting or tricks. It's your soul finally breathing freely. It's your inner self saying, I made it. The freedom you didn't get to have before, it's written all over you now. And that's why people keep telling you that you look younger, brighter, more alive. Because you are. You're living in a freedom that was once denied to you. And now that it's here, it shows. What used to drain you no longer has power over you. The people, the fears, the expectations you once lived under, they don't control you anymore. You've healed. And with that healing came a new kind of power. A quiet strength. A confidence that doesn't have to shout or prove anything. Just your presence is enough. And that brings us to something even deeper, something that most people can't quite understand. Your body is reflecting something eternal. You've always felt like there was more to you than what others could see. While the world obsesses over youth and numbers and appearance, you've been feeling something different, something timeless. You're not afraid of aging because your soul doesn't age. It doesn't wrinkle. It doesn't wear down. It only expands. And that's why you don't fit the usual story. Your body isn't following the rules because your spirit doesn't live by those rules. You've tapped into something that exists beyond this physical world. And that connection, it's showing up in how you walk, how you speak, how you carry yourself. People can feel it even if they can't explain it. There's a calm around you, a presence that doesn't feel rushed or worn out. It feels eternal. And that's because it is. You've moved beyond the idea that time is the enemy. You've discovered that time is actually your ally. With every year that passes, your soul has grown stronger, not weaker. And that energy? It's magnetic. You're not here to resist the years. You're here to live through them fully and to keep growing as they pass. While others are trying to hold on to youth like it's slipping through their fingers, you've realized something far more powerful. Youth isn't a number. It's a feeling. It's a spirit. And yours is alive. What the world calls aging, you've turned into evolving. You've made peace with your past and allowed your soul to flourish. You've gone deep, done the inner work, let go of pain that wasn't yours to carry. You've stopped shrinking. And now you've expanded. The beauty people see in you now, it's not skin deep. It's soul deep. It's the result of battles fought and lessons learned. It's the glow of someone who has learned how to live with both grace and grit. It's the face of someone who has loved, lost, cried, healed, and risen again. There's a kind of peace in you now that no one can take away. You've learned how to create that peace from within, no matter what's going on outside of you. And because of that, you move differently. You speak differently. You shine differently. You don't rush. You don't panic. You've discovered your worth, and it's not tied to anything that fades. You don't need validation from the outside world anymore. You've validated yourself. You've looked in the mirror and seen the truth. You are whole. You are worthy. You are radiant. And you always were. Now, you just finally believe it. This isn't about pretending that life hasn't been hard. It has. But you've allowed that difficulty to make you softer, not colder. Wiser, not bitter. You've chosen the path of healing, of truth, of spiritual depth. And that choice, it changed everything. So yes, you may not look your age. But that's not the miracle. The miracle is that you don't feel it either, not in the way the world expects. You feel alive. You feel new, because you've been reborn. The secret isn't in avoiding time. The secret is in transcending it. You've stepped into a space where you're no longer defined by the outside world. You've connected to something eternal. And when you live from that space, When your soul takes the lead, your whole life transforms. That's why people can't figure you out. They're trying to find your glow in your routine, your skincare, your habits. But your glow didn't come from a product. It came from your process, from everything you've overcome, from the spiritual journey you've walked quietly, faithfully, and fearlessly. You are living proof that the soul has no expiration date. You are the evidence that growth, healing, and love create a kind of beauty that can't be explained. It can only be felt. So, if any of this resonated with you, if something deep inside you whispered, "Yes, that's me," then take a moment. Breathe that in. You're not imagining your transformation. You're living it. And don't keep this to yourself. Someone out there needs to hear this too. Someone is still in the storm, still carrying the weight, still waiting to remember who they really are. Share this message with them. Remind them of their light. Keep shining. Keep evolving. Keep walking in your truth. Because the world doesn't need more people trying to look young. It needs more souls who are fully alive.